Hello everyone, today's video is all about national insurance, specifically Class 2 national insurance. So if you are a self-employed individual or you are a self-employed partner in a partnership, you know all about Class 2 national insurance. Class 2s are the smaller of the two types of national insurance that you will pay as a sole trader or partner, that being Class 2 and Class 4. Class 4s are based on a percentage, the standard percentage, 9% of profits you make over and above, around about £9,000. Class 2s, flat rate, just over £3 a week, but you only pay them if profits are over £6,000 a year. So if you are, like I said, a sole trader or a partner, and you've had a not particularly good year, and your profits for the year fall below the level at which you have to pay Class 2 national insurance, then you won't have to pay Class 2 national insurance. However, the Class 2 national insurance is contributory as far as the state pension is concerned. So if you don't pay any Class 2 NICs, you don't get a qualifying year for the state pension. Now remember, you need 35 qualifying years for state pension purposes. So even though you might have had a bad year as a self-employed person or partner, and you are not mandated to pay those Class 2s, you should think long and hard about still doing voluntary contributions, because you don't want to lose out on that qualifying year for state pension purposes. And they are cheap. £3.05 a week for 52 weeks is not a lot of money. 150 quid. But for the sake of forfeiting a year of qualifying, years for state pension, it's not worth it. So absolutely consider doing voluntary Class 2 national insurance if you are have profits below the 6,500, which the mandatory Class 2s kick in. Now, of course, that works out so much cheaper than the other voluntary national insurance out there, which is the Class 3. And I've done separate videos on this, and Class 3s are £15.40 a week. Now, certain people cannot do voluntary Class 2, they have to do voluntary Class 3. So let's say you were working abroad for several years, so you stopped paying national insurance and you came back to the UK and you have a gap in your contribution record. You would have to pay voluntary Class 3s, not Class 2s, because you're not self-employed or a partner. So it's only if you're self-employed or a partner who would normally pay Class 2s, but you've had a bad year and so you haven't had to. I would suggest that you voluntarily do it because it's a cheap way to maintain that record for the state pension. Remember, you need 35 years. Now, slight ghost in the machine cropped up during COVID insofar as how those voluntary Class 2s are recorded. So you'll recall, if you've ever been in this position, that it used to be that these things were taken direct debit every 3 months or so. The £2 or £3 a week added up, and then it was taken every so often from your bank account. And then HMRC changed how they did it. They said, look, we're just going to collect Class 2s with your Class 4s and your income tax via the self-assessment system. So we'll see what it is on your tax return, and we'll take the money off you at that stage. Now, what happened just recently, for the purposes of the coronavirus, HMRC very generously said to everyone, look, we're going to give you an extra month to file your tax return for the 1920 tax year. So rather than have to be in on the 31st of January, it's got to be in by the 28th of February. So everyone had an extra month. But people who were paying voluntary Class 2s during the period, because they had a bad year business-wise the previous year, when HMRC logged their return, apparently there was an error. There's been a big error on HMRC's database. There's been a mismatch, and apparently that extra month has thrown out a lot of the data in their systems. In other words, what I'm saying is that if you have been paying these voluntary Class 2s, chances are your most recent year's worth of payments have not been recorded properly by HMRC. So you won't have got that year's qualifying period for the state pension. So I would encourage you, if you're in that situation, to get in touch with HMRC National Insurance Helpline, which is 0300 200 3500. So that is 0300 200 3500. And just check that they have captured your payments of national insurance for that year. So it should only really apply to those people who are paying voluntary. So everyone else who's paying class 2s because they have to, because their profits were above the 6,500 threshold, the system should have captured that correctly. But even so, I would encourage you to either call the helpline or log into your personal tax account with HMRC. Remember, the personal tax account, which tells you how much tax you've paid every year. It also tells you where your taxes go. A lot of people might not like what they see in terms of how the government spend their taxes, but the best thing about your personal tax account online at HMRC is it gives you the full contribution history, so you can spot any gaps. And crucially in this, with relevance to this topic, you can see gaps where there shouldn't be gaps because you might have been making these voluntary class 2s. So I would encourage you to make sure you've got your contribution history all there, up to date. There are no anomalies, and make sure that you make sure it's all in order, because these class 2s, they count towards the state pension. Class 4, even though it's a much, much bigger amount of national insurance, and it can be many thousands of pounds compared to just 150 plus pounds, 156 pounds for class 2. It's the class 2 that gets you the benefit for state pension. Class 4 is just another tax, really. It has no contributory benefits. So, whether or not you pay class 4 or not doesn't count towards the state pension. It's the smaller of the two, the class 2, which gives you the record. So that's the one you need to have up to date, which is good, like I said, because it is the cheapest one. So if you have got these, if you can make these voluntary payments, great. If you have made the voluntary payments, like I said, there could be a bit of a glitch, a ghost in the machine at HMRC's computer systems. So I would encourage you just to check that your payments have indeed been captured for the relevant year. So just an overview there on class 2 voluntary, class 2 national insurance. If you like this video, please do subscribe right there, and I will see you soon.